Hey, what's up everybody? You're watching Ready Set Drone, and today we're gonna be taking a look at the EXO Mini sub 250 gram quadcopter camera drone. So stay tuned and we'll check it out. So if you're new to Ready Set Drone, I hope you'll hit subscribe and the notification bell because we do a lot of videos about camera drones, FPV, RC stuff, all that good stuff. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a video about the Blackhawk Pro, which is this guy right here. And you can check it out. I'll put a card down below and up above and everywhere else so that you can go see that video. This is a camera drone made by a company called EXO, which is a partner or some sort of association with Hubsan. And I had some interesting experiences with this. I won't ruin it for you, but overall, for a beginner drone, for someone who's never flown drones before, I like the Blackhawk. It has a decent camera. It has some issues, don't get me wrong, but it exceeded my expectations, and that's always a good thing. Now it has a little brother or little sister here. Hold on, let me check. Oh, it's a little brother. This is the EXO Mini Pro. It has the same camera, the same gimbal, and a lot of the same flight characteristics as the Blackhawk, but it is sub 250 grams. Now the EXO Mini Pro is built with two different configurations, and one of them has an internal storage of 128, somewhere in there, gigabytes, or 64 gigabytes internally, depending on which level you get. And then one of them has an SD slot with no internal storage. Okay, so another thing about this drone, this model, which is the Mini Pro, does not have a slot. It actually doesn't take SD cards. It only has internal memory. And I think it has over 100 gigs of internal memory actually, because when I put it in the app, it says 113 gigs available or something. Right there is the slot. Before I read RTFM, you can look that up, I tried to shove two SD cards into that slot and they disappeared. And you're asking, well, if I shoved one in there and it didn't work, why did I shove a second one? Because I thought I had dropped the first one on the ground. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just try to put another one in. Anyway, they both disappeared. Turns out they were in the battery compartment. And when Chris just pulled the battery out, the two of them just dropped and we picked them up right there. So I'm very happy about that because they're two cards that I thought I had lost. So my whole point of all that is EXO makes two different versions, one that uses a memory card, a micro SD card, and one that has internal memory for this Mini Pro drone. Make sure you know which one you have. And even though there is a thing that looks like a little card slot here, it is not an actual card slot. Now, that all sounds like a negative, but in reality it's not, because I like the fact that this has 128 gigs of internal storage in it. All of that said, how does this thing fly? Well, it actually flies pretty well. It flies very similarly to this, but it doesn't do as well in the wind as this does. This is heavier, this is more solid. This is the Blackhawk, not the Mini. The Blackhawk is a better drone in the wind. This one got pushed around a bit more. And I also found that actually the Blackhawk had better GPS lock than this one did. This one seemed to drift around a little bit more. Should I try the Red Devil?
Oh man, I don't know, it's kind of windy.
I think I got the Red Devil.
Confidence is high.
Done.
Damn.
Yep.
Okay.
No, I mean, it actually flies pretty smooth. I mean, well, of course that's the gimbal, but it looks very smooth in the camera, of course, because of the gimbal. And you know, the gimbal is a big part of what you want in a drone like this. And this is really, I did fly the Blackhawk before and had a pretty good experience similar to this, and this is actually pretty similar to the Blackhawk. Now I'm going over to the other end of the school. I'm gonna go over by where the swimming pool is, and that's, well, it says it's 425 feet away, almost 500 feet away at 509, and it's fine. I've got clear image, good control, speed of 12 miles per hour, 11 miles per hour, coming back down the football field, down the track. And again, with such a small drone, you know, keeping it line of sight
I don't see you going thousands of feet away or kilometers or miles or whatever you want to measure it in. You know, this is not a drone designed for long distance, and nor should it be because of line of sight rules. I'm out of line of sight because there's trees in the way, but it's not too far to see it. I know exactly where it is on that football field, and when it comes past this tree, I'll be able to see it again. And I'm only at, well, it says I'm at 5 feet in the air, which is not accurate because I took off on a hill. So it's 5 feet from where it took off, not 5 feet from the air where it is right now. And I'm gonna take it through the goalpost like Chris suggested. Yeah, that was just fine. Let's see if it stops. Now I don't think that was definitely not stopping because of obstacle avoidance. That was stopping because I let go of the stick. Because obstacle avoidance is currently off. I'll go ahead and turn it on. So now it's beeping because it's right here in front of me, as you can see. And I don't think I could have done the red devils with obstacle avoidance on. Like I think it would have had issue. Let's see if I try to do the red devil with obstacle avoidance on, if it sees it and stops me. It says, no, that's an obstacle. It's a red devil. Where is it? There it is. I'm going straight towards it. Full speed. Pushing my luck. Oh, yep, it stopped. It got really close to hitting the red devil actually, but I think that's because it kind of stopped and freaked out a little bit. So now if I turn off obstacle avoidance, now I should be able to go through no problem. Yep.
They do have this little grill on the bottom that allows you to hand catch it, and this grill is made of kind of a rubbery plastic, and it's designed to protect your hand because this plate here on the bottom is a metal heat sink, and this metal heat sink with all your sensors, downward sensors, gets very hot. We flew it, and on a hot morning, now it wasn't as hot as it's gonna get in the afternoon, but probably in the high 80s, and this did get very hot. This is designed to help your hand if you do decide to hand catch it.
Apparently this plastic shield is so that when you hand catch it, the heat from the drone will not burn you. But let's see how hot it is.
I think you just pull it.
So if we were to do a hand catch, yeah, that is quite warm. Yeah, you wouldn't want to touch that.
Also, I think the sensors, like that way you don't get fingerprints and oil on the sensors.
Yeah.
Now in terms of the camera and the color and the look of the video, it does shoot 4K 30, which we did. The footage that you're seeing here today is 4K 30, and it does do a decent job with the imagery. It's not a bad camera. Where it seems to kind of fail is in two areas. Number one, the video tends to be a little bit overexposed and a little bit oversaturated. I actually like really highly saturated video, so it doesn't bother me as much, but if you're more of a video snob than I am, then you might just hate it because it is a bit oversaturated and a little bit overexposed. And then number two, the gimbal. Same problem as I had on this, but even worse. The gimbal is not level most of the time. In the app, you can actually manually level the gimbal, but as I asked with this drone, why would you have to do that? It seems like gimbal technology should be far enough along, as it's been proven by other makers, that you can take off with a level gimbal and the gimbal will stay level. Once it's level, it stays pretty level and it's fairly solid. I mean, the flight looks smooth and all that sort of thing, but I'm just annoyed that it doesn't take off. It doesn't calibrate itself very well on the ground to take off in a level state. We did actually do a gimbal calibration where we created a level surface using my iPhone's leveling app to make sure it was perfectly level. We set it on there and we did the calibrate on the app, and it did do a little bit of moving around, but it still came out crooked when it took off. I do think it's something they might be able to fix with software down the line, but that is an annoyance about this one to a small degree, because I'd say more than half the time the gimbal was level with this one. But with this one, it's a higher degree of annoyance because I'd say more than half the time the gimbal was not level when I was flying with it. So one of the things we noticed about the camera shots is that you do get some jello in some of the shots, as you can see here. And then also we noticed that there are color shifts with the color balance or the white balance. It shifts from kind of a warm to a cooler, or from cool to a warmer look, just sort of randomly. Now, when in the app, you can actually touch on the screen, and for exposure, if it's a bright sky, you can touch on the sky and it'll darken the image, or if it's too dark, you can hit on a dark area and it will open up and give you more light and brighten the image. But what I'm talking about here is not exposure adjustment. I'm talking about color shift in the white balance space. So going from cool to warm or warm to cool. It changes in a somewhat subtle way and you have to be paying attention to notice it, but if you are looking for it, it's very obvious. So in conclusion about the EXO Blackhawk Pro and the EXO Blackhawk Mini Pro, I like the Blackhawk Pro much better. The sub 250 gram thing is not a big deal for me. I like the fact that this does better in the wind, but if you really want something sub 250, you can look at this. You can look at a DJI Mini. You can look at the Autel Nano. They're all in the same space. This one is the least expensive of those three, I believe, and it's also probably the least performing. But if you're cost sensitive, or if for some reason you don't want to buy an Autel or a DJI, this is a good alternative to look at. Love to hear your thoughts about EXO drones in general and the EXO Blackhawk Mini Pro in particular. Leave your comments below. Please hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Ready Set Drone.